Hello again. Now we've started chapter 11, and we just want to talk about the diffuser and the back bumper of our Audi RS3 sedan version. And we have just reached some details here that is connected to our black diffuser, and it has a positional touch. So you're gonna have a wireframe here to connect it positionally, like what we achieved at chapter 10. As you see, we are talking about this area, and by moving CVs, you can achieve what you want exactly and try to have a similar model as your reference photos. So later we may have some fillets here, and so we can see how much quality does the surface have. So this is our final wireframe. I think it's good enough, and it just needs some work here because you should be sure that this positional connection is an outside positional connection. That means the series are all outside the surface. So the line is not inside the surface, it's outside. This is an important thing that you should consider while modeling. So now let's move on. We're gonna talk about this section later, about the fillets maybe. And now as you see, we have a draft section here, and we have an offset wireframe for the diffuser. Let's see what's happening here. As you see, I am always checking the photos, the reference photos. Okay. As you see, it's not completely matched, but you know, our wireframe is completely curvature, so we think it's okay. Always there are some problem with our blueprints in different views, but you're gonna match it on at least two views. For example, top and back. So for the side, it's approximately correct, but it has a little problem. So it's not important. We have a shape here. We should just trim something. We should just trim this surface with something, with some curves, I mean. So we can add a wireframe and project it from the side. I mean, from this view, you can project it into the surface, or you can project it from the back view. Both of these ways should give a similar trimmed surface for you. Now we're gonna have some lines here. Okay, just try to create approximate curves. So one here, and we should add fillets later. Let's just turn up the CVs. Okay, we just increase the series, and as you see, you can add series here. When you double click on the line, you can change the default series and save your preferences. Okay, we're gonna have some fillets here. Let's move this a little white. Okay, curve fillets. We need some curve fillet, and as you see, we should, this is a complex wireframe, so you should take care of the wireframes. It's better to set it there, and curvature, and let's automatic. Okay, try some numbers here. Okay, 17. You can check it here, or I don't know, where can I see that? Here. This is an approximate value. You can see something here. Anyways, you can use other photos to other zoomed photos, or I don't know if you have RS3 in your country, so you can check it out, because we are always setting fillets. We are always guessing fillets, so it's not an exact value and it's not the correct value, but it's very approximately correct. Okay, we're gonna project this curve. Done. Now, let's check this curve on the back view. Is it okay? No, it's not completely okay because we just left something here. So, as you know, we are working on the side and back here because we can't see that in the top view. You can use query edits to, yes, to retrieve the fillets, and so if you remove fillets, or I don't know, remove the curve on surfaces, now you can edit the CVs again, add another fillet with different value if you want, and okay, you're gonna project it from the side view or Y or Y axis. Okay, we've projected. Now let's check out the back view. Okay, now let's take a look at our reference pictures, and yes, as you see, we have some other lines here, so we should take care of them and work on them. This is the tangency area, so we should have some surfaces here that are aligned to tangency together, or curvature if you want. Now let's get back to our model and trim it. Trim this surface and create another surface here. So let's trim. Okay, we've just trimmed this surface and we have divided it into two different surfaces. We delete the construction history and we can move it inside. Scale it. Okay, let's move on. Check it from the back view. Okay, we're gonna do different ways for this area. As you see, we have done this, and we can scale it or okay, let's duplicate this curve and have this curve, add them to a group, okay, and select it and use our offset. The offset tool is going to give you a curve offset, a beautiful curve offset here. Set the value. No, it's too big for us, so we can use a scale. Copy paste that, and okay, scale it inside. Use center pivots and scale it again. Okay, scale. Set the pivot at the middle. Let me check this one. Okay, it's much better. Scale it down to reach that line that we can see in the blueprint. And when we reach that surface, we can project it into our initial surface. We can copy paste that, or I don't know, project it into our second surface. This is also a good way. Now let's check it, trim it. You know, we've projected that into our inside surface. We can use also another way, a draft tool. A draft tool with angle can also achieve something like this. But you should add a plane there and get an intersect and then trim it. And now we're gonna use freeform blend or a skin. Okay, we just choose a skin, but the position surfacing has some problem here. You know, the connection between these two surfaces are not very important. Why? Because we're gonna have some fillets here. For example, 2 millimeter or 1 or 3. So the connection check is just checking the surface connection, for example, under 1 millimeter. So don't care, we don't care about that, and we're gonna continue modeling. So don't check the continuity. I mean, don't check the exact positional continuity. You can check tangency or curvature, it's very important, but the positional continuity is not very important because you're gonna have fillets, and your fillet is much bigger than that mistake, and that's connection lost. So as you see, our curvature has some problem here. It's not important also because we're gonna go much faster. You can work on it if you want. Now let's go to our new section. Okay, now let's move to the next chapter. Okay, check out the surfaces here, check out the tilts, check out the surface structure in the picture. We're gonna talk about the diffuser later, but for now let's revise this surface. You know, you should find the line limit. The line limit is here, so you're gonna ungroup these surfaces. As you see, you're gonna disable the preserve symmetry and then ungroup again. Okay, delete the construction history, it's okay. Now you're gonna delete the surfaces that you don't want here.
as you see, we have one surface with many spans. So we're gonna cut this surface. If we had a multiple surface, we can ungroup that and delete the surface. But now we have spans instead of multiple surfaces. So we're gonna add a line here and trim this area. Okay, we trimmed this. Now, okay, we want to have a tangency surface here, so let me just move it and check out how much should it move. Okay, I should cut the surface also from this line, moving to Z, project it onto the surface and trim that. Okay. Now what do we want here? We want a tangency surface between the bumper surfaces. So we're gonna choose a point here, turn on the series and use the align tool to align the surfaces. For example, curvature, align this line to that surface. Okay, I know it's a little bit so big, but you can work on the smaller one. You know, it should be our surface should be outsider, should come outside more. Okay, we've worked on the tangency. You know, the distance is so much right now. If I move here, but you know the construction history is deleted, but if you move it and use the freeform blend again, use the default, and so you can have this surface. Okay, we've done this, and as you see, we have completed this surface. It's so easy, you know, it's just 3 or 4 square tools. You just 4 times use the square tool and you have 4 squares. So as you see, we can also use the freeform blend tool and just set it on tangency, and as you see, we have achieved something. You know, the tilt is a little different here. It's something that we had here, but you can have something very smoother. Okay, now we're gonna move to the diffuser. It was so easy for now. You should just work on surfaces, and because you have the wireframe, just working on surfaces. And okay, let's use the draft tool as we talked about this section before. Just set the length 15, it's so much. Okay, it's okay. Now we can move the tilt. You know, we can rotate this surface inside, and also we can trim it later. Yes, it's okay now. A little bit outside. Okay, the lens. Okay, the lens, we check the lens from back view. Okay, it's good enough. We can increase the value a little bit, a little bit. Okay, it's okay. Now we can trim it. Just turn off the spans. As you see, our final surface has many spans because our curves were not very good curves and they had many degrees, so we don't have a good surface. But we can reduce the spans if you want. Just change it to 1 span. We add a line here, and we should add a fillet also and trim it again. Just let me see here. Okay, we don't attention to these fillets. We just trim it directly, and let's add fillet here. As you see, we can choose this a surface edge and our line. So let's check out the fillet distance. How much should I add? I think it's good. Don't forget to turn off the trim, and because you can choose the trimmed area here, just project these fillets, line another fillet, and trim it. But take care. Okay. You can pick the curves and add them to your hidden layer so you can save the construction history. It's okay, it's very good. But you know, the fillet, we just missed that fillet. We should untrim that. Okay, that's what I wanted to say. You know, because we didn't trim that fillet, so we're gonna get back and choose that section also. Now it's correct. Okay. We're gonna use the duplicate tool for the boundary. Okay, we have choose that, and we need this area, we need these curves, so we're gonna click on it. But the chain select is not good for here, so we're gonna talk about it later. Just turn off the chain select and click on it. Okay, we got that curve, but you should use this tool, the curve section tool. Click on a curve and okay, and then click on that fillet, and it's trimmed now. I mean, it's cut it, and we cut that. Now we have the smaller curve from the area we wanted. Okay, we turn on the chain select. Okay, it just turn off the chain select again and select this, select here. Okay, is it connected or not? No, it's not connected. This is one of the problems. Maybe you would have. So we can connect these surfaces or connect the wireframe. I'm gonna talk about that. We have a little problem here because we worked on that surface very fast, so we lost that point. Anyways, our surface here is not very good, and you can achieve much better surface here. You know, the final work is smooth, but it's not what we wanted. Okay, what can we do here? You can add a blend curve here if you want to connect this, because you can work on that surface, on that empty surface later, empty area later and you're gonna add a surface there. Okay, we're gonna move the blend point by picking blend point, and we have a blend point here, so we can select that now. So our boundary is completed. Okay, now we are going to duplicate this curve. It's not good because it also selects the curves that we duplicated before, so we're gonna turn off the chain select. And okay, after we selected all and we duplicated all, we're gonna group them together, and we may have an offset curve to create another surface between these two curves, a freeform blend surface maybe. But take care, what are you gonna do is creating the diffuser surfaces, so it's very important to know what does the role of each curve. So we have this, we're gonna group them together, and sometimes we should delete the construction history, but now, or copy paste it, and now it's okay because they are duplicated curves, so they have copy pasted already. As you see, it's not very good curve, but it's good enough for us to continue modeling. If you see any problem here, you can revise the surfaces. You should go back some chapters and try to create a better surface. Now what we want this offset. We should offset this and create a freeform blend, and after that you can extrude the surface inside. It's not very hard, it's easy because in the back view you have that. See, you have that, you can see the offset. You can also use the offset tool for individual curves. For any single, you can offset each single curve, and after that create surface between them. It's not important how many ways you can create a surface. The only thing is important is that the quality of final surface. And we can also create a surface there and project our scaled curve. Now let me scale this curve. Try to set a pivot on the middle point, for example here. This is our last point, so this place is good enough. And move it on the middle. Okay, now scale it. As you see, we have some problem here, so we should use the offset for individual curves. Or you can create the curves. See, it's not matched. So you can create curves individually, and I mean you should create the wireframe for there again and use the freeform blend to connect the surfaces, to connect the curves. Okay, we're gonna pull this out and create another curve here because we need to connect on the Z axis, tangency align here, and the symmetry align for that other CV. Okay, or we could extend that line. You know, I'm grouping and deleting construction history. I could extend that line and use symmetry align as you know, but I tried this way because this is also another way. Okay, I should pull that area outside, so let's just add the center points, add the pivot to center. Okay, now we can scale it. As you see, the blueprint has a problem, a little problem, but we can fix it. We can reach an approximate result. Now it's okay. Just play with curves. Just play with wireframe and reach the thing that you exactly want. Now you can use the skin, chain select, okay, as you see, when we select the chain select, the curves on that side is not selected, so we should connect them separately. We should connect each curve to another like this. Connect two curves positionally, and let's try freeform blend also. As you see, the chain select doesn't work, and also here. So you can connect that individually with default. Okay. We can also do a trick, and the trick is that you can, when you are duplicating your curve, you can go to duplicate tool options and click on curvature rebuild. So it's gonna create a curve very close to the original curve, but with curvature continuity. So when you are clicking on the chain select and click on a curve, the whole curve, the full curve is selected. Okay, now we have something like this, and we can use the line tool for surfaces to connect the surfaces. As you see here, we have a little gap. Okay, good. Let's move. Okay, select this one. I told you you can use the defaults. I mean, edge align and default, the start position can connect as a default, and you can work with these surfaces, with these curves also, to reach exactly what you wanted. Okay. Okay, we have this, and it's done. Let's check it. Okay. This is our final shape. But as you know, this is very approximate and it has some problems. You can use the align tool to connect that with respect to tangency or curvature as you wish. So we're gonna force it to align. Just click on edge and click on the other edge. and it's okay, it's tangency connected. As you see, it's very smooth now. So you can also add it to curvature. Let me show you. My locators are on height and curvature. It's okay. And the CVs are automatically included, and the other one we can increase the UVs. Okay, 3 is okay here. It's green, means it's okay. And add this to school because you don't want to lose your reference lines. You know, we have a gap here, but sometimes we can connect these two surfaces, but sometimes not. This is a very optional option because after filleting it can be done. It can be much better than this, because now if you join these surfaces, that tangency surface will be destroyed. So take care of this align tool. Okay, now let me explain what would happen if we wanted to connect these surfaces to this diffuser surface with a tangency connection. You should cut those surfaces and connect to that diffuser. Connect with the freeform blend and use align tool as a tangency connection. But for now, let's talk on the other side. As you see, we're gonna add a fillet here, but we don't need that right now. But take your time. Just take your time. But work on it, work on those fillets, work on these surfaces, work on these wireframes. They are very easy. They are very, very easy. Just try to reduce the spans. Just try to have a smooth model. You can also try other cars, try other bumpers. Okay, now I want these curves. Here is selected, okay. And I'm gonna group them, assign it to curves. Okay, and sometimes I delete the construction history, sometimes I don't, because it's not very important. Okay, this section is a little outside, as you see, so I should just extrude this surface inside with a draft tool. So now let's do this with a new way, with another way. Let's continue with another way. Let me just set the pivot point here. And okay, the last point. Okay, what I want to do is copying this, paste, scale it. You can also use the offset tool, but I just want to show you we can do that with a scale tool, but you know, it doesn't give us a good result. The offset tool is much better. So We're gonna move it outside and use the draft surface here. Okay. I'm gonna select this. Okay. It's okay, we selected all, turn off the spans. Okay, I want this. Okay, I want that. So it has a big tilt here. So I'm gonna add it manually, and now it's okay. So what is the next step? As you see, we should offset that curve. So let's copy and offset. Okay, I told you offset is much better. It's a very good tool. 5. Okay. Okay, we have 2 arrows. We have this offset. Now we're gonna project it to this surface. We're gonna click on the intersect lines, and I should change the angle of that draft tool. Let's see what's gonna happen here. No. No, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. Let's check another way. What can we do for here is using the scale for this. Copy, paste. So draft tool was not a good tool here because we couldn't project that wireframe into that surface, into that drafted surface. So we're gonna scale that and move that. We're gonna move the pivot point here, scale it, scale it a little bit. Okay. It's good now. Let's move it inside and add another freeform blend or a skin or anything between these two surfaces. Okay, freeform blend here. Position, change select is on. Okay, select all of this. Let's select this one also. Oh no. Let's use the freeform blend individually. Okay, next surface. Next surface. This one. Next surface. This one. Okay, now this is okay. You know, this is much better way. Instead of drafting and projecting and trimming. This is a much better way for this section. Okay, I should also use the freeform blend for here also. You know, I'm working very fast on this model, but you can spend some time on it and improve the quality of surfaces and curves. We would also talk about class A surface quality later, but for now it's better to see AS modeling. This fillet is very, yeah, this fillet has some pieces. So what we can do here is projecting this wireframe, creating this wireframe first with lines of fillets and curve fillets, and then create a surface and project it, and then trim that surface and connect with a freeform blend tool to our recent curve. Okay.
Okay, I've created some surfaces here, and as you see, it's not very complex, and there aren't any complex surfaces there, so just let me move this canvas. And now let's focus on the model. What I've done here is just creating some surfaces with that scale sheet, and as you see, this is also an easy section. I've just trimmed the surface and extended it. You can also use a draft tool, or you can just create the curves here and use the draft tool, and then add a fillet between them. And as you see here, I've just projected a curve here and drafted it out. And this is another draft with a fillet here. This is the fillet, as you see. I've just added a fillet here, so it's not very complex, it's very easy. Just create some wireframes, and with respect to your blueprints and your photos, and use draft tool, freeform blend, and something like that. This is a close view of our back bumper, and as you see, there are some other features here. You can add them here. But for now, let's talk about the exhaust, and let's talk about it. We can use the revolve for adding the exhaust, or we can use a circle and use the freeform blend to create the exhaust. Anyways, let me choose a circle here. Here we have exhaust. Before that, we're gonna create this surface and scale it in Z axis. Just move it here. Save the file, scale it down. Okay. As you see, we can detach, as we talked about that in our fenders, in our fender vlogs. Just let me scale it down a little. So we can use the detach tool here again. Just click on this point, and it's okay. Now it has divided. Now we can add a line here, not a line, a line. It means one line. So it is fully tangency, so it doesn't need to align these curves. As you see, it's already aligned. So I'm just testing it's aligned, so it's just aligned tangency. So what we're gonna do is projecting these curves into our surface, or using a draft tool to intersect between this drafted surface and that main diffuser surface, so we can trim it after it. Okay, many spans, it's not very important. Let's turn off the spans, and now let's give a number. Okay, let's just select these wireframe and move it backward. Okay, we can intersect these surfaces, as you see. Click on the first surface and then click on a second surface. So okay, let's just increase this value. Okay, this is better. You can also edit that later. Now let's get an intersect between these surfaces. Okay, it's done now, and you know what is intersect, so I'm not gonna talk about that. Okay, we've just trimmed this one, and trimmed this one, so we have our hole. Why my fillet was multiple surface? Because I chose that when I was adding my fillet, so I should trim it twice. For now I need another trim, but I should add a line here to trim it. Okay, let me project this line into this surface on X. As you see, there's a line here from that point, so I can keep this. It's done. This is a new way for trimming. You can add a line here and project it into the X axis, because there is at least one point here to project. So we're gonna have a line, and after that we can trim it. Now we can add a fillet here also if we want. Let's just add this to our altar. Just let's give a copy from this one. Okay, fillet, choose the surfaces. As you see, they're all red because they're all tangency, and our internal surface auto update is off for now. I'm gonna add a fillet here, and yay, it's okay. It's okay. A little fillet here and an exhaust. And as you see, I've added a surface here. It's just a plain which I have rotated it. It's a plane. I've rotated it and got an intersect from that internal surface on my plane, and then I just trimmed it. Okay, how to create this exhaust? This is, let me just add them to the correct layer. So how can I create this exhaust? I can just add a circle, or I just can, let's talk about it. There are many ways to create an exhaust. As you see, we are going to create a circle, or just copy paste that circle that we have used before. Okay, now we're gonna move this, we're gonna rotate this with respect to our blueprints. Move it up and try to have an exact thing. Okay. Now we can use draft tool to draft the surface here. We have our draft value here, the lens, and shading. Again, this is really easy. This is not so hard. This is very easy. Digital design is very easy if you've been in love with this field. This is very easy. Okay, let me just add an angle here. Oh, this is so much. Okay. Minus 2.5 is okay. And I can also flip the angle. Minus 3. Or you can add 3 and flip it. Or 4 and flip it. Okay. So you can use this. But we have a problem here. Why? Because I should add a plane there and intersect between them and trim it. So this is a bad way for you if you want to try, but I have an easier way for you, and this is cylinder. Okay, I can add the cylinder here and scale it. Let's move it for backward, forward, I don't know, backward. Okay, scale it again, move it, try to achieve. So how can I rotate this? How can I rotate that section? I can add a line here and project that and then trim that. Project that into y-axis. You can also add a little crown here to get the shape that you want exactly. Y-axis, project this curve into that surface and trim it. Okay, but we have this surface also, we're gonna remove it, but how? Just try to ungroup the surfaces. Okay, now pick nothing, now again pick this surface, you can pick it now. But we need this surface, this back surface, and we're gonna add a round here instead of fillet. Round is very popular for some surfaces here because it's easy to use. Okay, we can also turn on the CVs here, and we can scale these CVs, just center pivot this one, and you can scale it now if you want. scale it down, scale it down, scale it down, and a little. We can also do the construction history before, but this is also a good way. Now we have a beautiful surface here, our exhaust. We can also add a wall here, 1 millimeter or 2 millimeters wall, which is very usable to have realistic models. Okay, we can scale it again for the y-axis, so we don't have a problem here. Okay, I'm gonna turn off the CVs now. Okay, but I want that surface. Let me just think about that. I want that surface. As you see, I have suddenly untrimmed that surface. I'm gonna discard this area. I can use the draft tool here. Just click on it and click on the y-axis, the y-axis. You know, it's just intersecting. So, but it's not fully intersecting, so I'm gonna just move the CVs of this line, or I just can extend it. Okay. Now, I can just move it here. Okay, you can do anything. You can do anything. You can intersect between the surfaces and trim or rotate or scale or anything you want to get the shape that you want. Okay, I want this. Just get an intersect. Just delete these curve on surfaces. Pick curve on surface tool and add an intersect here and trim it. With this way you can create almost all of the exhausts in the history. Okay, let's duplicate this curve and enter. Okay, I can center pivot and scale it, project it and trim it, or you can also use the draft tool and get an intersect. Let's just move it outside, project it into the x-axis. It's very easy. It's very easy. Done. Now you can extend it or just use a freeform blend if it's not important for you. You can just use position here. Spans are not important. You can use Bezier surfaces if you want. But I just want a single surface here and spans are not important. I can also add a filter, so it's okay. The spans are not important. I can add a surface fillet here. I want curvature, for example. Let's add one here and see what's gonna do. Okay, there's a problem with one. Okay, this one is okay. 0.2. 0.0. Okay, we have a round here. Let's try round. I've just added a round here, but I haven't selected here, so I select it, so the round is okay. It's completely done. I can also click on this and click on the number and add a number here, revert it and rebuild it, or just directly click rebuild. So 1.5 is okay now. It's done. Very easy and realistic exhaust. We can also work on details more and more and more. Let me just use Query Edit to edit this fillet. Okay, you can increase this value if you want. Okay, it's done. It's done. It's very smooth. Now, you can get a copy from this and add it to your main layer, or you can have this layer as a test layer here if you want to test some new exhaust. You can delete construction history, add them to the group, center pivot, add them to group, and yes, you can also scale it again now. So it's okay.